Hi Jean, so here are the videos for the DBTA sessions at Camp Jumpstart for the summer of 2018, or for you to use in the future. So I'm doing these with one person. It'll look quite a bit different doing them in a large group, but I'm going to be working through some of the examples. So hopefully it'll give you a good idea of kind of what we have planned and how it's laid out with those session outlines that I provided for you. So here we go for the first session. So it might be useful to identify some rules for the group. You'll probably be able to do that, but you can get some ideas from the kiddos, or you probably have some ideas of what important rules you might want to have for the group. So we'll start by picking out some rules. It's important that when I'm speaking that you're listening and showing me that you're attentive and not talking to anyone else. Also, when other peers are talking, it's important that you're respectful of them and listen to them as well. So let's get started with a mindfulness activity. So go ahead and put your feet flat on the ground. You can rest your hands in your lap. And let's take a few deep breaths in and out, just noticing what it feels like to breathe today. So noticing what it feels like as the breath comes in and as it goes out. Noticing how your feet feel on the ground, your bottom in the seat. And as you have thoughts, just bringing your attention back to your breath, focusing on your breathing. And when you're ready, you can bring your attention back into the room. Okay, so what was that like?
It was peaceful and relaxing, just very calming.
Okay, it was relaxing and calming.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing. So one thing that we'll be doing is reading some assumptions. So we'll be doing that every week. And so we'll start with this first one. Now, we've told you a little bit about DBT. You signed a waiver saying that you'd answer some questions and that we're going to be doing this as part of camp. But DBT is designed for kids that have emotions and need a better way of kind of coping with them or managing those emotions. So we're going to be learning some skills about how to manage your emotions, how to communicate with others, and how to stay in the present moment. Okay. So the first assumption that we're going to read today is number 1. People are doing the best they can. What do you think about that one?
That seems to be very true. I think everyone is doing the best that they can. And I know that I am, and I think that everyone is, and
okay.
Who should be.
Thank you for sharing. So today we're going to be talking more about mindfulness. So we did try a mindfulness activity, but we're going to have these dinosaurs show us a little bit more today. So we're going to talk about what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is being in control of your mind rather than letting your mind be in control of you. So this can look like 2 things: practicing full awareness or using attentional control. So as we were just breathing and you were noticing what it was like to breathe, noticing how your feet and bottom felt, that was awareness. So I'm going to lower the lights, and I want you to pay attention to your senses. So sights and smells. So what are some things that you noticed when I lowered the lights?
Side, it got much darker in the room. It was a little harder to see.
Yeah, it was more dim in here. It was harder to see when the lights weren't on.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is awareness. You're just noticing that there was a change. You're noticing that it seemed to get a little darker in the room. We can also use mindfulness to control our attention. So let's look at the picture. This picture. So focus on the picture. Non-judgmentally. And if your mind wanders, bring your attention back to the picture. Okay, so you might notice that the picture has 3 trees, that there are white leaves, and there are roots coming up from the ground with branches. So you're just noticing that without any judgments for the picture. So what was it like to notice that the lights were dimming and to spend some time focusing on the picture?
It was cool. I was very aware of kind of what was going on around me.
You were maybe more aware than you usually are, it sounds like.
Definitely.
And mindfulness can be difficult sometimes, or it can be a challenge at first. It takes practice. It's kind of like obedience training for a puppy. So we want our minds to sit still and pay attention, but that's something that we have to train them to do. So we'll be practicing this as we go through camp. So we're going to talk today about 3 states of mind. So at any given point, we can be in reasonable mind, emotional mind, or a wise mind. So you see there's a Venn diagram on your handout. Wise mind is where emotional mind and reasonable mind kind of overlap. So emotional mind is when your emotion consumes you. It takes over and it's hard to think rationally about consequences. Emotion mind's not always a problem, but sometimes it can be. So one time I got a bad grade on a paper that I worked really hard on, and I was really upset about getting a bad grade. I wanted to yell at my teacher or send her an email letting her know that I was really upset about the bad grade. That might not have been the best choice. Now, reasonable mind is when you are acting or thinking about something without taking feelings into account. So, solving a problem, planning a vacation maybe. Some examples of reasonable mind might be things like making a grocery list before going to the grocery store. If you get the same groceries every week and you're not thinking about how you're feeling or how you're going to be feeling over the next week, you might just get the same grocery list. You're kind of planning your grocery list without taking too much else into account. What are some disadvantages of making all of your decisions in reasonable mind?
You're not being very aware of what's around you.
Yeah, both emotions and reason are important for making decisions.
Right.
So our emotions can tell us some useful information, but just going on our emotions might get us into trouble. So wise mind is the blend of emotional mind and reasonable mind. It's what you know to be true. It's the wisdom that's already within you, like a gut feeling. So something like a conflicting emotion, feeling frustrated and love at the same time. Maybe about a relationship, maybe that your parents love you and that's why they brought you to camp, but you're also frustrated because you didn't think that you wanted to be at camp at first. So you realize there are differences maybe in the way that you saw coming to camp, but you decide that your parents bringing you to camp was probably a good thing, that hopefully you'll learn something and it's them showing you that they care about you, even though you might have felt a little frustrated at first. So what's an example of wise mind that kind of you've had?
Of wise mind?
When you use your emotions and reason to make a decision.
Like playing sports, like playing in a basketball game. Whenever it was getting close to the end of the game and it was coming down to me to make the last shot, or we only had like a minute left of the game, so there were only a few shots left in the game, and I ended up missing the shot, so I was really upset, and I wanted to take the last shot of the game, so I didn't know that I would have a good shot at winning. But I was kind of being wise mind because I knew that there was another person that was a little bit better at shooting than I was. And with the game on the line, I decided to actually pass the ball off to my teammate, and he made it, and we actually won the basketball game. So I almost messed up because I was so frustrated at missing the first shot and winning the game, and then I decided to let my friend shoot it that I knew was going to probably make it more so than I would have. So.
Yeah, that's a great example. So you were feeling frustrated and you thought you needed to make it up, so you could have made the shot yourself.
Right.
But your reasonable mind was saying, well, you know, this friend is really reliable and he almost always makes it, so you should pass it to him.
Right.
So you used both, that you were feeling frustrated and maybe that's not the best time to make a shot at the end of the game, and that you know your friend's a really reliable shooter. So you use wise mind, pass the ball, and it sounds like you won the game.
We did.
Yeah, great. Okay, so at the end of each session there are the big worksheets with questions on them, so this is the time that you can review that. So that first question asks, which of the following is an example of wise mind? A, getting angry and yelling at a teacher who accused you of talking in the hallway. B, figuring out how much money you have saved to buy a new game. Or C, deciding to send pictures of dogs that need adoption to your friend instead of adopting them yourself because you already have 2 dogs.
See, adopting.
Yeah, so you might feel excited or you might feel sad for the dogs and want to adopt them. That would be your emotion mind. You'd have the urge to want to adopt the dogs. But your reasonable mind says, well, you already have 2 dogs, maybe someone else could take better care of them since you already have 2 dogs. You might not need another dog.
Right.
So your wise mind says, okay, well, we can send the picture to a friend and maybe they can adopt them. Yeah, great job. So for the homework tonight, or what you'll be doing tomorrow morning, there's a worksheet here to practice noticing when you're in emotional mind, so when you have a strong emotion and an urge to do something, when you're in reasonable mind and you are problem solving or making a rational choice, and when you're in wise mind, when you're using both your emotion and reason to make a choice that kind of uses both of those.
Yeah.
So we'll come back and try that tomorrow.